It was a wild one out there in Arrowhead. Shady, that's the team you won a Super Bowl with.
Right.
Are the Super Bowl Chiefs back?
They look good. I won't say they're back yet, right? I think that's standing in the right direction. But we still got to see a little bit more. I think when I watched that game, I watched it this morning, and I truly feel like the Dolphins didn't want to be there.
True.
They didn't even belong. They didn't want. It was cold. They didn't want to
hit
be
nobody.
there. And Tua looked like he didn't even. Like, y'all playing weather like this? Well, y'all play like this? Yeah, bro, it's cold. Like, come on. So I just say that they didn't like they were on the same playing field. But I want to see what the Chiefs do next game, right? I want to see how they look, how efficient they look on offense. The young receivers, they look good. They make some plays. Patrick Mahomes, even his attitude, he looked different playing, right? Kelsey, kind of his game's up and down. He made plays when they needed him, although I think he needs to make them plays he should.
Yes, sir.
Made,
Too many
that's
drops.
What he is, right? Too many drops. But I think going forward, I think the Chiefs. See, the funny thing with the Chiefs is like they're such a good team. They're so well coached. They got so many great players where, like, you can see them in the Super Bowl. Even though they've been rocky all year. They get that connection, they get going again. So I think that for the future, I think this next week or so, we should see the Chiefs come back. If they win this next game, they look efficient, look good, I'm going to say, yo, they back.
Yeah, I don't know how you can't be afraid of the Chiefs, because even though they've been up and down all season long, this was a good game for them.
Yes, it was.
They didn't look too much better than they looked during the regular season. But that didn't matter all season long. They still managed to get a home field game to start the postseason, won the division. So they're just there. And that sort of winning culture is, to me, what is necessary in the postseason. Again, they still had drops. They still had moments where it was like, what are y'all doing?
Hella drops.
And I don't even want to get into the Dolphins. Like, it was tragic. I don't care about the cold. You play football. Football is played outside for the most part. You need to be able to play in the cold. I don't know why that's an excuse.
Boys ain't want that.
I don't care about that. The injuries, okay, lots of people get injured. I understand the Dolphins have had a lot of injuries, but they didn't look like they belonged on the same field. It was a tragedy. But that was a team that played at a really high level at 2 points throughout the season, particularly on the offense. So I think that the Chiefs they're scary. Like, they're a championship level team. They got champions all over the place, and they just make the right plays in the right moment, and you're going home.
The DNA they got.
You know, this game, I was watching this game, and this game reminded me of when we played the Bears in 2007, right? I never in my life, right? I never in my life thought I was going to lose a football game. Even playing at San Jose State, we go play Florida and all that for a check. I'm like, get me the ball, watch what happens. We finna win this game. We walk out of there getting smacked, but I always thought we was going to win. It was one time in 2007 against the Bears where it was negative 20-something with the wind chill. And we all in the locker room like, man, can I put my North Face under my jacket? In my green hoodie, in my uniform, like, and I'll be good, right? You know?
You were in frost like this.
We came out there in warm-ups, and I seen Brian Urlacher and Lance Briggs walk up out there with no sleeves. They turned up. I looked at Greg Jennings' true story, said, we finna get slapped. We lost off the bus. Off the bus, we lost. The Miami Dolphins off of that bus lost that football game. They didn't want to tackle. They didn't want to throw. They didn't want to catch. They didn't want to block. They didn't want to do nothing, right? So that's what I took out of that game. But when you talk about the Kansas City Chiefs being back, no. I don't think they're back. And the reason why is because everything that happened in the regular season showed up in the playoffs, right? The only difference is we just talked about a quarterback not making plays. Now we're talking about a quarterback that did make plays. And it wasn't necessarily all with his arm. He took off on key third downs, big plays with his legs. He willed his team to victory, but Travis Kelce dropping the football. It was 3 or 4 plays to where he throwing go balls. They're not even looking for the ball. The ball bouncing right in front of the receiver. So a lot of the same stuff showed up. I truly believe if that game was against Josh Allen and Buffalo Bills, they do not win. You know, so I'm not ready to say they're all the way back, but it just showed that you have a superstar at the quarterback spot that willed his team to victory. And when he had to make plays with his legs, with his arm, whatever it may be, he made those plays. But a lot of the little things still showed up to where I'm like, I don't know if this is Chiefs team, the way they are playing, can win a championship, because that's all that matters for Pat.
Yeah, I have written down they're backed by wins, but that game was too hard to judge. Dolphins didn't want to be there.
No, they didn't.
It was so hard to judge. And by the way, y'all lost 35-7 versus the Bears in those
Slapped. I know.
It was like, congrats to the Chiefs for winning, but I didn't look at that game and say, oh, yeah, the Chiefs are back. I looked at that game and said, man, Dolphins didn't want to be there. Good for you, Chiefs, for wanting to be there more than the Dolphins did. That counts for something. But I didn't look at that game because Kelsey dropped 3 passes. He had more drops than he had catches through like 3/4 of the season. Mecole Hardman, he's begging for flags on deep routes. Bro, just run the route. Now, shout out to Rashee Rice. Like, shout out to him. He went crazy. Mahomes found a way to get it done. But I don't know that they're back yet unless every game is just going to come down to weird, frigid conditions and want to. But that game, I don't even like judging it. I ain't like watching it because I'm like, but these aren't the Dolphins.
No.
Like, depending on who wins today,
it could be.
But that count though, that matters.
It's 1,000%.
It's the playoffs.
It does.
And the Chiefs, they play worse this year than they play against the Dolphins. And it could be one of them games where it could have been 7-3. You know what I mean? They fumbling the ball, fumbling the snap.
That's real.
When they did some of the special plays that they did early this year, they messed up, maybe fumbles. They did it against the Dolphins. They didn't mess it up, right? So, I mean, they're not going to be the old Chiefs that we're used to seeing.
No, not this year.
They got young players in there, and that's going to take some time. But all I'm saying is that I'm going to take that, and I'm going to build on that with that performance they did against the Dolphins, right? Because they could have went the other way. That's all I'm saying. And last thing is, if you look at all the other AFC teams, who can't they beat, though? Because they can lose everybody, I think. Right, you got the Bills, the Steelers. I'm not counting the Steelers. You got the Texans. They could potentially lose that game. And you got the Ravens. But they can also beat them teams. I can see the Ravens and the Chiefs having a low-scoring game because both defenses are playing really well. And I think both offenses are not, like, off the charts for the Ravens or the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They could beat the Ravens in Baltimore.
James, I've read, and Andy will have to confirm it, Patrick Mahomes already has more playoff wins than Aaron Rodgers.
Why y'all telling me that?
I just figured you should know. I figured you could have just about something you want to know.
Wait, did you hear him or you heard it? Did you hear him?
I didn't hear him.
Why were y'all struggling in the cold like that? You playing Green Bay?
No.
Nah, you know A-Rod.
Hey, you know that win when it pierced that skin? And the crazy thing is we was already in the playoffs. I think we was 13-2 at the time. I'm ready to go home.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.